services.
A creative way to get federal money sent back.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Yubico, makers of the YubiKey, which stops phishing and hacking attempts and protects the personal and business applications people rely on. Learn more at yubico.com.
I'm David Brancaccio in Los Angeles. Trump administration officials have identified a possible workaround that could enable what are often termed clawbacks. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer joins me now from Washington to explain.
Well, this is a process known as rescission. We talked about it yesterday, David. It basically cancels spending Congress approved. Since Congress has the power of the purse, only lawmakers can claw money back. And here's that loophole. Once the president sends a rescission request to Congress, the funding he wants to take back is frozen for 45 days. Now, funding approved by Congress for this fiscal year dies at the end of the fiscal year anyway on September 30th. Bobby Kogan is a former Senate and White House budget staffer now at the Center for American Progress. He explains it this way.
And they're like, oh, we found a loophole where we can do it even if Congress says no. You send it up on August 15th. Congress says no on August 20th, but you still have 45 days to pause, and you can pause at the end. That would be an insane loophole, but that's what they're arguing.
And Nancy, administration officials are starting to make this case in public. White House Budget Director Russell Vought, for example.
Yeah, he's been on CNN talking about this. Basically, the White House thinks it's found a way to formalize and legalize cuts made by Elon Musk's DOGE commission.
Is it likely to actually work? Can you use this loophole?
Well, Bobby Kogan says the Government Accountability Office is the official arbiter here, and it could challenge the administration in court on this.
Disclosure among funds the Trump administration wants disgorged previously allocated federal dollars for public TV and public radio. S&P and NASDAQ futures are little changed at the moment. The European Central Bank just now cut interest rates there 1/4 of a percentage point. And there's news Procter & Gamble is cutting 7,000 jobs worldwide. The firm cites geopolitical volatility and consumer uncertainty, taken as an oblique reference to the trade war.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business, dedicated to helping businesses save time on office tasks and empower leaders with business buying solutions that support teams to focus on growing the business. Learn about smart business buying at amazonbusiness.com. And by This Old House Radio Hour podcast, answering listeners' DIY and renovation questions and diving into home design trends, available in podcast apps.
Now to social capital to make rebuilding after a disaster more affordable. Our Altadena, California house was one of 16,000 structures lost in the big wildfires in January. In a video we posted as a fine, Army Corps of Engineers crew cleared our ruins. I talk about the unpredictability of the cost of rebuilding amid this surge in demand for labor and materials. It was maybe $400 a square foot to build before the fire, but what if it becomes $550, $650, $750? The higher it goes, the fewer who can rebuild. Now, several of you wrote us to suggest why not band together to keep costs down. Well, by then, a loose-knit group of neighbors was already working on this. It is called the Altadena Collective, which started after the Eden Fire among people with small Tudor-ish cottages built about a century ago. I spoke to one of the community members who helped spearhead the effort, Tim Vortreed, an architect who himself lost his cottage to the fire.
I thought, wow, there's a lot of bad information out there. I need to find a way to inform people, and not by just screaming into the void, which I think we all kind of did a little bit in the beginning. It needs to be in an organized fashion and help people understand what the process is for rebuilding and how many steps you have to take and what the sequence is. That's where we can share purchasing, essentially.
These Englishy cottages that many people had, I had one, you had one, both burned. They had, for instance, many of them distinctive windows. They seem expensive to duplicate, but your idea would be if a whole bunch of people needed windows like that, we might be able to get a price.
Yeah, I mean, the way you make a window, let's say you do it out of fiberglass, which is more cost-effective than wood. It's also pretty fire resilient, which is a good practice these days. You extrude that, in bulk. And once you say, all right, this is a funky shape that we have to do. A lot of these Jane's cottages had some very interesting window shapes. But if we're doing that, 40, 50 times, you start to make fixtures in the factory that are specific to that shape. And then it becomes an assembly line, even at a small scale. So more efficient, more cost savings.
We don't know what's coming, tariffs, we don't know what's coming, labor. There's a lot in flux in the general economy that affects people in this area as well.
However, from the Alta Collective perspective, because we're trying to be a resource that helps as much of the community as possible, just going into the right people and saying, hey, let's have a dedicated price book for Altadena, and contractors or homeowners will come into you, whether it's raw material or finished material, will come into you and they get this special treatment. That's what we're trying to negotiate.
Might be more efficient, and you might get a better price if you can go to a builder and say, hey, there's 7 houses all on this block that would like to use you.
I think there's 2 elements that help that. So similarity in the actual structure of the home and proximity. If one contractor is able to lock up 3 or 4 adjacent homes or homes within a couple blocks radius, their mobilization costs and their logistics significantly reduce.
It's the Marketplace Morning Report on